All right, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and droids across our beloved empire, we're getting right into it because this video is traditionally one of the bigger videos we gotta make because there's so much info we gotta spill upon your tactical scanners, and that is 3v3 Grand Arena in about 2 hours from now. 3v3 Grand Arena is returning, so you better lock in your roster now. Before you forget, it's been a week since the last Grand Arena came around. We have so much to talk about because the last 3v3 Grand Arena was October 2021, and so much has changed post Great Nerf 2021, Omicrons, new teams, new characters. So we're gonna try to jam pack as much as possible in as short of a video here. So we're gonna leave timestamps below if you need to hop to a specific part of the video. First thing we gotta talk about here is the best offensive and defensive teams. And you know, I was thinking, should I just make my usual graphic? But the thing is, my graphic usually just mimics, at the end of the day, what the meta report is showing her. I'm gonna leave a link down below, swh.gg. There is no graphic out there that can outdo the sheer amount of data that they have here in regards to the best offensive teams and the best defensive teams, what's holding the most, what's getting you the most banners. We'll quickly review it, but it's more or less kind of the same. What we're going to spend most of our time on today are the Omicrons, the new teams and characters that came to the game, and more importantly, Galactic Legends counters, both GL as well as non-Galactic Legends counters. So a lot of stuff to talk about here. So quick, let's review the data. What are the best meta teams that we saw back then? We'll add on top of it. Master Kenobi is the team that holds the most in Galaxiers. 35% of the time, it's going to hold you defensive wins, and that's what you're looking for. Rey is going to be your second hardest Galactic Legend to beat, or think about second best GL to put on defense, because there's so many ways to utilize her. She steals a lot of banners, and you know, it can be a little tricky. Not a ton of off-meta counters of her, so we're seeing her in that 30% threshold. And again, loads of ways to use her. We see Holdo, Hermit Yoda, Commander Ahsoka Tano, L337. I see things, for example, like Queel, IG-11. Tons of stuff going on. This I find funny. Maul has a higher defensive hold than his Lord Vader he's supposed to be helping out there. Expect a lot of funny people trying to utilize the Bastila Shan, Jedi Master Luke combo with Wat Tambor, trying to create a perma-taunt situation. We'll show you ways to counter that in case you run into that. And again, loads of ways to use Jedi Master Kenobi. Captain Rex is going to be incredibly popular on defense if you don't plan on using him, with General Anakin Skywalker. And we see Echo in there to try to stop Malik from soloing them. We got things like First Order, SLKR. This is probably going to be your standard SLKR team you're going to see on defense, but there are probably going to be a lot of ways to utilize on offense. And here comes Lord Vader. Lord Vader is typically in the lower echelons of best 3v3 defensive teams out there, kind of down there with Sith Eternal, but he is a little bit better than Sith Eternal on defense. And then here we go. Let's talk about some non-GL stuff out there. One of the best teams to put on defense in terms of non-Galactic Legends. Frickin' Newt Gunray, Django, and either Nest, B1 Battle Droid. They strip so many banners, and it's pretty much just leftover stuff that you're not going to use on the offensive there. Of course, General Anakin Skywalker you see on defense, but as we're going to see today, I made an earlier video showcasing an old Grand Arena. Gas is a little good, and maybe you don't want to put him on defense because you're going to get a lot of use out of him. But nonetheless, you could put him on there, but I think you're going to see a lot more counters to Gas. So might not be the best use out of him on defense here. And then a lot of other stuff. For example, Beskar, Mando, Han, and Chewie. I don't know if this is going to be a thing you're going to want to do anymore because of the threat of Qui-Gon Jinn. Omicron, it's probably gonna be best to bring Beskar, Mando on offense, as we're gonna show, and maybe keep Han and Chewie on offense, or throw it with Galactic Legends Rey. And let's take a look at the other page here. Again, when you're looking through these teams, you wanna, I kind of like putting the cutoff at 0.1% because you get a lot of teams to choose from. That's one of the biggest problems of making best 3v3 videos, because one, the meta is so much more diverse, and that's something you might love or you might hate. And the other problem is there are so many different roster sizes and roster accessibilities out there. It's very difficult to make one video, one guide that's gonna be applicable to everyone. And that's why I think using swh.gg is gonna give you a lot more flavor and variety that kind of makes sure you're kind of staying as close to where the metas as possible. Like, for example, Jedi Training Rey, Shock T with your leftover clones. CLS, C-3PO, 3POC, a very good team because Han and Chewie, you can use a Beskar, Mando, Wedge, maybe even Dash, Rey. So your leftover rebels, this is a great defensive team. Difficult to beat for some stuff, and it can strip some banners here. So again, lots of options to choose out there. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we need to focus on the GL counters the non-GL counters, and of course, if you click on the attack tab, you're going to see some of the best offensive teams that exist out there. Darth Revan, without your Malik, is one of the best teams to use out there. 97% win rate, some decent banners that come along with it out there. And of course, you got your other Revan. And of course, we can go on and on and on, regurgitate what the meta has been for the longest time. Again, we're going to leave a link down below so you can check it all yourself. I mean, data is powerful, and as we're seeing, this is pretty much going to be the core chunk of it. But we got some new stuff that we need to review. So why don't we go ahead and bring you on over to the Grand Admiral Directed Video Gaming Division's account, and let's talk about some squads that we need to talk about here. First things first, why don't we talk about the best new teams that didn't exist back in the day here? So why don't we bring this up here? First things first, Tuskens. We don't know what they're gonna be. That's the one problem making these videos. We don't quite know what they're gonna do with these new things. Tusken Raider has an Omicron. It's only for 3v3 Grand Arena. Kind of makes me think it's going to be kind of like a Night Sister Cheese type of thing. What will they beat? Time will tell. But the good thing is, I'm probably going to throw this on defense for a while. It might suck on defense, or it might be great. Let the opponent struggle. Figure it out. Feed me the data on how to beat this team. Wampa, incredibly powerful in 5v5. I think his viability is going to skyrocket in 3v3 Grand Arena, because it's going to be harder to box him out because you only can put 3 characters on defense, and you kind of need a full team to take down this guy. He's gonna be beating Galactic Legends. He's gonna be beating so many more teams in 3v3, and dare I say, I think there's gonna be a very good chance he can even counter General Anakin Skywalker on defense. If you've been on the fence on Wampa Omicron, get it. It's very, very good. Moving on, Qui-Gon Jinn. Omicron, new to this list in 3v3. Omicrons didn't exist back in October 2021. It's gonna be the Golden Boy team right here. This is gonna beat so much, especially when you see those Han and Chewies, those super rebel teams, super scoundrel teams, maybe Dash Han and Chewie, Beskar Mando Han and Chewie, CLS Han and Chewie, teams that would normally be kind of a bit more menacing back then. This team, just a team of 3, can completely clear out some big name teams out there. I think this is gonna be a well-balanced team, both on offense and defense. It's gonna be a little bit more trickier beating this, since you can't just throw a full team of Bad Batch at it. You have Mace Windu and his rework, some good taunting capability, some cheese capability. And of course, when Qui-Gon goes poof, Anakin's gonna finish the job for you. And here we go. This is gonna be a very common theme. Today's common themes when we get to the Galactic Legends counters are gonna be Gas, General Anakin Skywalker, and Starkiller. They fixed his Omicron for 3v3 Grand Arena, and all you need to do moving forward is just make sure you have some combination of a light side unaligned Force user, a Sith, a dark side unaligned Force user, a Jedi. You just gotta pick 2 that go with him, and I think it's gonna be a pretty big no-brainer. Mara Jade, Palpatine are gonna be the go-to. Put those high speeds on Mara Jade. She's gonna be running some serious circles around the enemy team. It's pretty much, this is the core trio that makes Starkiller great in 5v5. Well, now he's gonna beat a lot more things to be a lot more useful inside of 3D Grand Arena. We're gonna talk a lot more about him later on, so don't you worry. Dash Rendar. You know, normally in a 5v5 situation, there's gonna be a lot of ways to outdo him because you can put some characters in there that are a bit faster than him. But in 3v3, you're a bit more constrained, and especially a Vander Chewbacca Zeta, I think we're gonna have a fast dash. It's gonna snipe a lot of banners at the very minimum, and maybe even some timeout situations, because it's gonna be really hard to plow down these guys. But you gotta go through Vander Chewie first, and L3 someone's gonna get away. This team, Dash Rendar's kind of lost his edge a little bit in 5v5. 3v3, it's going to be a new fresh start for him, and this is going to be a bit annoying for people to deal with. We now have 3 Imperial Trooper teams, as you saw from the data, or you will be seeing from the data if you go take a look at it. Right now, the best Trooper team before all these new things happen. Veers, Piet, Range Trooper, or you can put in Gideon if you want, but I don't think you're going to want to put Gideon with them. You can make a lot more Imperial Trooper teams out there, so Veers, that's going to be your first team right there. I was actually using this team a lot in 3v3, even before they fixed Moff getting kind of like Starkiller. If you missed the update, they fixed tactical deployment, where now you're gonna get the bonuses in 3v3 Grand Arenas, as long as you have some combination of the requirements that they have, whether it's 1 tank, 2 attackers, and or an additional support ally to meet the conditions. You're gonna be getting the revive, the stacking offense. I was using a lot of 3v3 to beat some good teams. I can imagine this is actually gonna be a pretty gnarly team. I'm actually slightly tempted to put it on defense. Fast Gideon's gonna outrun your opponents most of the time. Unfortunately, on defense, he doesn't like to use the turret removal right away. and this is going to get you off to the race with Dark Trooper punching really dang hard. I don't think you're going to want to put Dark Trooper with General Veers. They got themselves taken care of with the turn meter loop. This is going to be pretty darn gnarly. But we have a third Imperial Trooper team that didn't exist, and that is Iden Versio, both as a brand new character and the Omicron. Omicron's not necessary, but it makes her just a little bit better and a little bit sweeter. This is a bit more open for interpretation, but I really do think you're going to want to throw Stormtrooper in there, because I've seen just Iden and Stormtrooper, they can possibly cheese their way through a General Grievous team. And in that last slot, you have some options. I don't know if you want to put Death Trooper in there, but you can put Stark, Snow Trooper in that situation. Or heck, if you want to make a really annoying team, put in a Short Trooper to try to time them out as much as possible. Just let Iden's counterattack some big hits. Work the magic here, but do be cautious. Wampa's going to steamroll this, whereas I don't know if it's going to be interesting to see if Wampa can handle this. I assume Wampa can, but you got revives, you got demoralized, you got some heavy hitting single fire damage. We'll have to wait and see how that works out. But this is a bit interesting. I don't know if I want to put this on defense. It might be great for offensive uses. Speaking of offensive uses, another team that's going to probably fall. Again, Wampa can take on a full Iden team on 5v5. Take on a full Rebel Fighter team. If your opponent has Wampa, Omicron, you might not want to put this team down on defense. Kyle Katarn going to supercharge Mon Mothma. I was trying to see if maybe there was another way we could take use of Kyle Katarn, because Mon Mothma was actually better in 3v3 than her 5v5 variant before Kyle Katarn came into the picture. You're throwing things like either Cara Dune and Pow or Cassian and Kate. So you could beat things like General Grievous. Kyle Katarn is going to elevate that performance, but it's a bit unfortunate. Unlike the Troopers, where now we have 3 teams, I don't know if you can really split up Kyle Katarn as much, because he's really tied to Mon Mothma and Rebel Fighters. You can maybe use him some Jedi things, but I don't think you're going to get nearly as much bang out of your bucket for that. But the benefit is here, Kyle Katarn's going to be pretty fast, and hopefully Hoth Rebel Scout can get you a turn meter train to run around your enemies here. We are going to spend too much time on bounty hunters because we have to talk about them later on in the conversation of Lord Vader. There's going to be a lot of interpretation how to roll this. This is primarily looking at how we're going to potentially handle Lord Vader, because the ideal Lord Vader team, if you are going to see it on defense or put it on defense, Lord Vader, Maul, Royal Guard. We don't have enough data to support this right now, but I think it's either going to be Fennec, Mando, Greef, Fennec, Greef, Bosk, and just let Fennec do her thing, or the same thing, Fennec, Greef, Mando, kind of a smaller variant of how we countered Lord Vader inside of 5v5. And my hope is here is that we can make, I don't think Zam is going to be used to counter Lord Vader in 3v3, especially in 5v5, where you don't already need Zam Wessel to make it happen. I think Bosk, if you don't need Bosk to pull up the Lord Vader counter, I think Bosk of Zam is going to be really nasty. Then throw in like Boba Fett's Sign of Django to help get the contract off a little bit faster. I think we're going to be seeing some Zam Wessel and things like Bosk or Django Lee to make him really fast out the get-go. Moving on, we have Dark Talon new to the list. She's already kind of a semi-lost soul in 5v5, but I think she's going to be finding her uses with Darth Revan. As we saw, Darth Revan splitting it up, ripping Malik. Malik can solo so many things all by himself, so not really a heavy need to put Malik with Darth Revan, unless you're putting Darth Revan and Malik together on defense. Might as well throw in Darth Talon to add extra 20 speed on top of Darth Revan to make sure you outrun your opponents and make sure they don't get a turn so you don't lose any sort of batters. This is a bit more debatable. Inquisitors new. Maybe they'll be better in 5v5 or in 3v3. In 5v5, they're not really all that insane. I'm thinking we might see something like this. These 3 are really the best Inquisitors that exist out there. We'll see what they can do. Maybe they'll be better in 3v3. You know, they're very durable. It's harder to run a train of turn meter loops or high speed because less people are taking turns. Have to wait and see. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I just threw something random with these guys. I don't think Darth Vader's best use is gonna be with these leftover Inquisitors. I think we're definitely gonna have some Inquisitors sitting on the side here. Now, here are 2 teams that I do not have Omicrons for. I'll explain why, but if you do have them, I think these are going to be some very ideal teams. Chief Chirpa, if you have the Omicron, here's the thing. The reason why I have not applied the Chief Chirpa Omicron is you need some really darn good speeds, or else it's a complete waste of an Omicron. My free-to-play account has beaten several Chief Chirpa Omicrons because they just don't have the speed to afford it on Poplu. The thing about Pablo Escobar is that he gets 25% speed whenever he does not have Taunt Act, which is at the very beginning. You need to really get speeds on your Pablo so that he can be dialed up to almost 400 speed So if you can afford the speed on the Ewoks, put it on Papu so we can start the Terminator train that's afforded with the Omicron, I can see this being annoying. And then we have Akbar. He's got an Omicron. This is one I've been tempted to apply. I think we can get some fun stuff in 3-3, but my main problem is I feel like I need Leia Omicron to really benefit from that. And right now, I'm hoarding on the Omicrons. One, because I know my guild's going to want me to apply it to the Grand Inquisitor. And secondly, Darth Malgus is going to be here in a month and a half. And, you know, he's going to be kind of a bigger deal. But I could see this being a nice team on defense. There's a lot of Rebel leftovers. Chirrut, Baze, for example. You got Biggs, for example. There are so many ways to utilize it. A lot of people have the Admiral Akbar Omicron. So I can see some ways to utilize it. For me, I'm not going to be using it. So those are pretty much the new teams I think we're going to be seeing quite frequently here. But what we need to talk about now are, firstly, the best Galactic Legend teams and how to counter them both from a GL and non-GL perspective. Well, as we just saw a moment ago, this is the best defensive team in the entire game, mathematically proven. There's not much to talk about. You pretty much turn a 3v3 into a 2v3 right out the get-go with Commander Ahsoka and Kenobi insta-killing someone out there. Supremo Calran, this is probably more of your defensive team. If you do want to place them on here, not a lot of non-GL counters to SOKR, as we're going to see out there. This has a balance of turn meter control, passing turns over, and some good tanking, as well as ways to get counterattacks and SOKR to assist. But very likely, if you're going to use SOKR in offense, this is probably what you're going to be using. SOKR, Supreme Calran of Night Sister Zombie Daka, milking the cheese and the revives. This will be one of your Jedi Master Kenobi counters in select situations out there. We got to talk about this. Sith Eternal. I wouldn't put this guy on defense, as we're going to show. He's going to be beating pretty much almost every GL, with the exception of maybe Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, potentially, and Lord Vader. Wat Tambor, give it over to Sith Eternal, and he'll be able to take out things like, for example, Rey, and a couple other things that we're going to show down the road. And if you're going to be going up against things like Master Kenobi, you might need a variant like this to try to keep Sith Eternal alive. Or if you don't have Wat Tambor, this will work fine up against Rey, but it will be more costly in terms of banners. Rey, I can make 5 million lists. She's the second best GL when it comes to defensive capabilities, and she's got some offensive capabilities as well. Obviously, you got things like the Resistance heroes. This could be a timeout risk because inevitably armor is going to give over a stack of the Beskar over to Rey, and she could time you up potentially. Han and Chewie, IG-11 Quill. Rey just works with pretty much anything that exists out there. But these two are going to be some of your more common teams you're going to see out there, as well as Commander Ahsoka Tano, like the data suggests out there. If you're going to put Master Luke on defense, might want to think twice, because there's going to be a lot of Darth Revan capabilities to counter something like this out here. If you are really gunning to put Master Luke on defense, this is probably going to be the team that's going to be a little bit better. Darth Revan can't get around it, and there's not a lot of off-meta counters, but there are a few, as we'll review. And then Lord Vader, the second worst again, this is not me roasting, it's just data suggests this, the second worst defensive Galactic Legend to put on defense, and that is Lord Vader, even with Maul. And if you're not going to put Maul on there, you're just screaming, here's some free banners, unfortunately. Let's talk about how to counter each of these individually. Now, some of these are going to be experimental. For example, Emperor Palpatine Mara Jade Starkiller works in 5v5. I suggest it's going to work in 3v3 as well. You're going to run a big Terminator train around them. Rey doesn't have as many ways to stop the train because she's only got a team of 3. I feel highly confident this is going to be the team utilized. I think Starkiller's viability is actually going to increase, kind of like Wampa, from 5v5 going up to 3v3. Gas, you got to be very careful. This data suggests, and from personal experience, this is not guaranteed to beat all raid teams out there, even against the right raid teams. Not a high win rate. And I'm going to show you one last thing on SWH.GG. If you need to navigate for counters, how to go about it, how to filter. So wait till the end. If you need to look for a specific raid team, you got to fight out there. Sith Eternal Watt, these are your GL counters out there. There's not a lot of non-GL counters that exist out there. It's pretty much that. This is going to be kind of dicey, and then you got to talk about GLs. That's why she's so good on defense. There's not a lot of off-meta ways to take care of her. Wat Tambor, Sith Eternal, no-brainer. Or Armor, Sith Trooper, if you don't want to use Wat Tambor. I'm not going to talk about Kenobi. He beats every Galactic Legend with or without Commander Tano, so we're just going to kind of scroll past them. Where we go. Jedi Master Luke can work. Got to be a little bit careful. It's like an 80-some% win rate with this team, a little bit higher if you know what you're doing here. Rey, if you could technically two-man a Rey, if you feel confident, Rey, Hermit Yoda will get the job done. You just got to make sure you time the heals right, and make sure Hermit Yoda is always under stealth when sudden whirlwind pops. But if you want to be very cautious, do a mirror match with Holdo, Hermit Yoda, and Rey. SLKR, the golden team here, it is horrible on banners, but it works. You're going to fracture one of the people on the sides, pass over as many turns to SLKR, and make sure you time Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's ultimate when Rey does her ultimate, so he does not get one shot at the very end. Very expensive on banners. Lord Vader, oddly enough, data shows it's pretty bad up against Rey. If you are going to go up against Rey, probably want to bring Maul, because the problem is Lord Vader does not have enough time nor enough people to feed off to increase his mastery. And it's not like he'll lose from a damage fight. He'll lose because of his own kit, and most likely will get timed out. So I highly recommend you bring in Maul. Very dicey stuff here. Kenobi, the #1 team to beat. And here's the dealio. It's tricky. If there's no Commander Ahsoka Tano, good news is you got a lot of ways to beat it. 501st can usually handle it 5, just like in 5v5. You'll be good. You can also possibly make Jedi Knight Revan, Jolie, and Yoda work. The good news is they'll just keep going after Grandmaster Yoda. All you got to do is just keep reviving with Jolie, Bindo, and you'll be golden here. Most likely, if they have no Commander Tano, it's going to be something like maybe Kenobi, General Kenobi, and Ahsoka. You're going to want to kill up the non-tank and then kind of work your way around. You got to fight the clock. It's got to be fast. But likely, if you're in a competitive environment, you're going to see Commander Ahsoka Tano as well as some sort of tank. Mace Windu, Jedi Knight Guardian, General Kenobi. This is going to be a lot trickier. And again, it hinges on Jolie not dying. If Jolie dies, your chances are out the window. This is going to be the team you're going to want to use if you're prone to use an off-meta counter or you just don't have any GL to throw at them. Again, very difficult to beat, not guaranteed, but it's definitely one of the higher degrees of off-meta likelihoods of beating a Commander Ahsoka Tano tank, Jedi Master Kenobi combo. We're not going to talk about that guy. He beats everything. If you're going to be using Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, you got to cheese your way to victory. Night Sister Zombie, DACA, it's got a decent degree of viability and success rate because Commander Ahsoka Tano is most likely just going to kill off the Night Sister Zombie, waste the insta-kill, and you're going to have time to ramp up Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Jedi Master Luke, a mini version of the Jedi Master Luke counter in 5v5, stuns. Make sure you're spamming the ultimate ability, or the teachings to make sure you get to ultimate as fast as possible. You're going to be golden. Sith Eternal, dicey in 5v5, dicey in 3v3. You're sending in the full kitchen sink. Wat Tambor, health pack over on Sith Eternal. And then what you're going to want to do, or it's going to be, gotta be careful. If there's a Mace Windu, you're going to do the tank tech for the cleanse on armor, then health pack over on Sith Eternal. And the hope is you could survive long enough to have armor pass over 3 stacks of Beskar over the Sith Eternal. But if you, my advice is don't wait till 3, pass over to health pack on Sith Eternal. That's pretty much all you're going to need, because very likely Commander Ahsoka Tano is going to want to try to kill off these guys as fast as possible, and Jedi Master Kenobi. So you know what? If there's no Mace Windu on the other team, health pack with Sith Eternal, 2 stacks of Beskar to Sith Eternal. Cross your fingers and always trust in the Gucci. Lord Vader, not a high degree of success rate, but if you have Lord Vader, you kind of got to bring in all the firepower that you can afford to get his ultimate going. Speaking of Lord Vader, let's talk about some Lord Vader counters that exist out there. Here's a dealio. We're going to be doing a lot of experimenting on Lord Vader with bounty hunters here. Inevitably, one of these guys are going to counter them. It's just a question of which one it's going to be. Assuming you're going after Maul and Royal Guard, what we're going to do is use the Fennec lead, so she gets instant contract. And if we're going to use Mando, get rid of Royal Guard, clean up the rest. But there's a very good possibility you're not going to need Mando. You're going to want a team that maybe can tank it up. Grief Karga, I think, is going to be mandatory for the cleanse, the constant cleanses, the assists. Fennec Shan, eventually we'll get through Royal Guard without the help of Mando. You work on Maul, work on Lord Vader at the very end, or Beskar Mando if you want to go that far. When Fennec Shan's almost going to get killed off, you're going to Beskar Mando step in, put the damage immunity. It's another cleanse on the team to get instant contract going. Grief Karga, I think, is going to be a staple. The question is, are we putting a Mando, Bosk, or other Mando Beskar variant in there? If there's no Maul, free real estate, you can use the bounty hunters. It's going to be easy money at that point. I think if there is no Maul, this is a no-brainer team to throw in there. Gas takes on Lord Vader without Maul. And I don't know if I would suggest this because Lord Vader is going to be a bit harder to clean up because you can't afford a full 5 team of Geonosians and Droideka. But Traya should be able to 2-shot at the very minimum. You pick up the Royal Guard, pick up Maul. Chances are they can't kill off Lord Vader, but nonetheless, it's an option. Then throw in Imperial Troopers to try to clean him up. Again, this guy, yeah, we know what he can do. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's got so many ways to counter Lord Vader with or without Maul. Here's one. You put the tank tech on so he cleanses himself. Armor maybe can give 2 stacks. 3 would be nice. Over on Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and then he can pretty much carry the party from there. If you don't have any cheese, use these guys. Just keep passing over turns to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Likely, out the get-go, you probably will kill off Maul. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's gonna stun Royal Guard. Hux passes over turn. First Order Officer passes over turn. I highly recommend you mod this team. So First Order Officer is just slightly faster than Hux. So he passed the turn order over to Supreme Leader Kylo. And Supreme Leader Kylo Ren does an AoE. As you see, I'm dialed in at 318. Hux is dialed just a little bit slower. So after Officer passes over the turn with that offense up, he comes in, passes over a turn, resets cooldowns. He does another AoE. Likely you're going to kill off Maul instantly, and it's pretty much easy money. Another option, have Wat Tambor pass over the tank tech over there, and then you do the health pack over on Kylo Ren and Mask. Again, yeah, a Night Sister zombie. Loads of ways to happen. Since then, we've seen Supreme Leader Kylo Ren get buffed and Lord Vader get nerfed in this battle here. And then, of course, Jedi Master Luke is going to be another option that you have at your disposal. You got to be a little careful. In 3v3, it's a little bit trickier to take on Lord Vader, but this team usually gets the job done. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. We've been showing a lot of Mara Jade stuff with Emperor Palpatine. I think if there's no Hux, you're going to be able to pull it off, because then you can run your Terminator train. If there is going to be like the Hux, First Order Stormtrooper, Barriss, Starkiller, and maybe Count Dooku or Darth Vader is going to be the way to go. So you can survive the heavy hits coming in, and then you have Count Dooku counterattacking, calling in Starkiller for the assists, or Darth Vader doing Merciless Massacre, do a bunch of basics, getting Starkiller for the assists. I'm thinking this is probably what we're going to be leaning in towards. But if there's no Hux, I think that's going to be free real estate. Jedi Revan's not as consistent in 5v5. All right, in 3v3, as in 5v5 here. If you want to use Jedi Revan, that's not the craziest success rate. But Jedi Revan, Hermit Yoda, Jedi Luke is going to be your best bet. A lesser success rate is going to be Jedi Revan, Jedi Luke. Armor, try to get the 3 stacks over to Jedi Luke right away, because usually what happens, SLKR will poke Jedi Revan. Armor will get 3 stacks. Pass over the 3 stacks to Jedi Luke. Good chance you'll kill off the majority of the team. Maybe take out SLKR. Not super consistent, but it's a thing. This, I would say, is almost obsolete. Since they buffed SLKR in the Great Nerf of 2021, this is not nearly as consistent. But if you're desperate, make sure you mod it so 5s gets guard from Chewie, i.e. make 5s weaker in terms of combined health and protection compared to General Anakin Skywalker. Not all that hard, especially if you have Relic 9, which everyone's got Relic 9, right? On General Anakin Skywalker here. Jedi Master Luke, almost any composition works. This bearded god beats him. You can do a Supreme Leader Kylo Ren mirror match. Be careful. In 5v5, Lord Vader solo against SLKR is extremely dicey. Sometimes you can pull it off if all is well. I think Lord Vader is going to be able to solo SLKR very consistently in a 3v3 situation, since Supreme Leader Kylo Ren doesn't have as many friends to help him out here. Jedi Master Luke, I don't suspect we're going to see a lot, but the one you want to be very cognizant of is that Bastila, JML, and Wat, especially since Bastila's not needed as much for Master or Jedi Revan out there. This is a very expensive counter if you're trying to go off meta. You got to stun Wat. You got to get Jedi Revan to mark down Wat, and then you got to just full send all the damage, kill off Wat, easy battle. It's about, unfortunately, like a 40-50% success rate. But if you know what you're doing, you can maybe increase the odds in your favor. This could be questionable. Starkiller is a bit iffy against Master Luke in 5v5, but in 3v3, less people on the Jedi team. If you can get the Terminator train rolling, you're going to be golden. Gas is going to be helpful against the Bastila JML Wat, although do note, not as good as it used to be because they nerfed General Anakin Skywalker's damage. I don't know if I would 100% recommend this, but if there are some weaker Jedi Master Luke teams, Gas should be able to get the job done. Against really weak Jedi Master Luke teams, like, for example, Yoda, Barriss, throw in your Sith Empire. Darth Revan, Bastila Shan, and either Sith Empire Trooper, Malik, HK Talon. You got a lot of options. Basically, Darth Revan, Bastila, HK can take out a Jedi Master Luke in a 5v5 situation, as I showed a while ago. Sith Eternal, easy money, although do be careful. Sith Eternal versus the Bastila Wat combo could result in a timeout situation out there. And of course, you got that guy. And if you are going to go up against Jedi Master Luke teams with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, you're probably going to want to have Wat to make sure you get that taunt tech over there, so no ability blocks. We can do his thing, keep getting protection recovery. And then finally, Sith Eternal, free real estate. If there's no like tenacity down, and maybe Traya or something like that on a Sith Eternal team, I'd be very surprised if someone's putting Traya with Sith Eternal team. That is expensive. Wampa, it could solo tons of Sith Eternals in 5v5. 3v3, it's gonna do a lot more, but just be careful. So watch out for Malik, watch out for Traya. You should be golden. I think Palpatine, Mara Jade, Starkiller, they're gonna run some massive circles around them. And honestly, there aren't a lot of off-meta Sith Eternal counters beyond that. They get really dicey at that point. But the good news is almost any Galactic Legend can solo. It's pretty much counter an easy solo because he can't link. If he can't link, he can't get the ultimate. Jedi Master Kenobi can solo. Lord Vader can solo. Rey can solo. You could solo with Sith Eternal. I recommend just doing Wat Tambor. Put the tank tech on. Wat Tambor will inevitably die, and then your Sith Eternal will go off. Theirs won't. And that's pretty much it there. So boy, we're jamming a lot of info here. Hopefully this has been helpful so far. But one last thing before we go, I want to take you on over here back to swh.gg. So I already showed you, there's a link down below. If you want to see the best overall defensive, offensive teams, I'm leaving a link down below. However, if you're in a situation where you need to find a specific counter, here's the thing, there is no carbon copy. You're going to fight X, Y, or Z team. This could be X, Y, or Z counter. There are so many variants out there. I'm gonna leave a link again. Click on SWH GAC counters. Click on this right here, season 22. It's gonna show data of the prior GAC, but eventually once we get enough data, you're gonna see a new season open up for this 3-3 cycle. But let's say you need to find, I don't know, a General Grievous counter. You could do this, and let's say I have Shock T. Okay, all right, well, here's some Shock T teams that might be able to counter a variety of different General Grievous teams out there. Or let's say you're fighting a B1 battle droid, B2 variant out there. It's gonna show you the teams reported that have worked, how many banners they got, so you can kind of make the best assessment on what you have or what the team composition is that they have over there. Or let's take a look, let's go back real quick and take a look at maybe another team. Let's say you're going up against Rey. And you know what, let's find a team here. Let's say you're going up against, I don't know. Let's say you're going up against, yeah, let's do this. Let's say you're going, no, don't want to do that one. All right, fine, we'll do that one. Let's say you're going up against, I don't know, Queel and IG11. So Queel, IG11. So you're finding a couple teams right here that you can go up against. Again, what I would probably recommend is maybe uncheck this or toggle to 99%. So this shows like the very best ways to counter them. If you uncheck that, you're going to get a lot more flavors of options. And let's say you don't even have a Galactic Legend. Click on this right here, exclude Galactic Legends. And as you can see, you're not going to find a lot of hope once you click on this in 3v3, but you can see what people have tried. Like General Anakin Skywalker, low success rate, may be possible if all goes well here. There we go. That's the Brave Roast Tico right there. Unfortunately, the solo didn't work. So again, there's tons of data out there. Data is going to be your best friend. And there is no guide that I can make that can outdo swh.gg when it comes to the meta, comes to counting them. Data's out there. Hopefully with the video that we compiled today is gonna be helpful. A lot of intel out there. 3v3 videos are always so tough to make because again, the meta's a lot more varied. There's more variety there. We haven't done 3v3 in so long. There's new teams, there's new Omicrons, and of course the biggest problem is I always get this complaint. None of these teams apply to me because everyone's got so many different rosters. But hopefully with the intel I gave you today, showcasing the best offensive teams, defensive teams, going over the new stuff, the Omicrons, GL counters, non-GL counters. I'm hoping I give you guys enough Imperial intel to take on this 3v3. It's not my favorite, but hey, you know what? At least it mixes things up a little bit. So in the meantime, leave a like if you're enjoying 3v3. Leave a like if you're not enjoying 3v3. Leave a like because dang, it's great to be in the Empire today.